Hello, I meant to do this rant video a long time ago. I just haven't had time. And what I'm really unhappy about is really this stupid Asda supermarket chain. And I say chain because even though this incident concerns one branch in Edmonton Green, I'm sure you heard of it for all the vile, the area is famous in the press for all the vile pushing violence because of a bargain or two on Black Friday or the opening of IKEA. But this is the Asda in Edmonton, and this was, until a few months ago, it was one of my favorite supermarkets, and they removed the Tesco there, so I have Asda and what's the other one, the Pound Shops, and then there's Home Bargains, right? So I used to go to Asda a lot, and then this happened. On that day, I'm not even being funny, I had no money and no electricity, and then I got a payment I was expecting from a client, a late payment. The minute I got that payment, I put it was on paper, I put it on my bank account, I transferred it, and I rushed down to take money out and go to the Asda. So really Asda was the first expense I had with that belated money, much needed money. And you know, it might not be so significant if you're not in that spot, but for me it's extremely important. It makes it worse. Symbolically it makes it so much worse. So here I am going to Asda, and I just want to grab a couple of stuff. I don't want to waste my time there. I just want to grab some basic foods, and I think I wanted some household stuff or whatever. So a couple of items. I go in there and I slip and fall into a big freaking huge puddle of liquid they had there. To this day I don't know if it was cleaning, it was a cleaning fluid or water. It was a huge freaking pond covering almost the whole front of a fridge, and it was taking half of the alley between the two fridges. I don't know if you can picture a huge supermarket fridge. And they just, the puddle, like it was a quarter of the aisle. That's the size of that fucking water thing they let there. I didn't even pay attention. I was like rushing, but not running, just walking fast, and I just slipped in there. I could have broken the freaking muscles, pulled the muscle, whatever. I fell hard on my hip bone, and I was in such pain. It was like some pins in my legs, and I couldn't move. And I'm lying down there, and I'm not making this up. Those two cretins from Asda, I mean, they didn't look too clever, but they must have been a little bit racist. And I say that again, fucking racist. Because here I am lying down, and I don't look like a tramp. And I know you don't have to, or you shouldn't pick up somebody like by the arm if they fell, because you can dislocate something. You don't know what you're doing, but at least pretend you care. Just like, are you okay, madam? I'm not being funny. I'm sure if I'd been their bloody racial description, if I'd been a little blonde, or if I'd been Turkish like themselves, you know, sort of like, you know, I don't know, maybe a woman with a scarf, Muslim, I don't know, I'm sure, and I have no doubt about 150% sure they would have done something to even pretend they cared, because those are no psychopaths. Those guys are obviously not very clever, but they were two adult guys in their 30s, maybe late 20s, early 30s, and they're standing there, and Mediterranean types, and they're standing there, and they just, you know, just about bothered to look at me like I'm some kind of spider crawling on the wall. It was so impersonal, so insulting. I've never felt so soiled in my life. They just looked at me like I was some kind of curious creature for about 5 minutes. 5 minutes I'm lying there and I'm like, I can't believe it. I was in pain, I couldn't walk. These guys are just looking at me, and finally they managed to come towards me, and it was just at the end of the aisle, like, I don't know, literally 2 meters away, 2-3 meters away. They saw me, there was nothing in between us. They watched me, and then they come and reluctantly ask me, do you need first aid? Do you need first aid? Like, it's boring to them. Not even, are you okay? Are you in pain? Are you alright? Nothing. And I said, well, I don't know if I need first aid. Maybe not, probably not, but I just, you know, so I don't know. What do you say? I'm trying to say something. I don't know. Can I see a manager? Can somebody help me? And they're just there. And finally I was so outraged, and I was in pain, I was tired, and I was like, you know, get me a manager, this is insane, do something. And they started going, I'm not getting you a manager because you're shouting. You're not don't shout at me, you're shouting. I'm not shouting, I'm in pain. I'm shocked, I'm under shock, I'm on the floor, and I don't know what just happened to me, and my hip is hurting. Those people, for them, it's a complete foreign concept, and they're just standing there, and then it's like I'm bothering them. And this is what I mean by, I'm sure if it was a pretty little blonde they could screw and they could send themselves in bed with, they would have done something. It's just sick. And I had to drag myself, and I took some pictures of the whole thing. I had to drag myself to the customer service because he refused to get me a manager because I was shouting. And I'm thinking, listen, if I had a child on my in my arm, and the child had flown about 2 yards back, knocked his freaking head on the freaking tiles, you wouldn't hear shouting, you would hear screaming and maybe a few broken fucking skull bones. But I'm shouting. Right? So they refused to get me anybody, and it's only like there was a black security guy who came and asked me if I was alright. And then he put the sign up for the wet floor because it wasn't there. It wasn't there, it was against the wall. So I'm so outraged, and I was in pain. It felt like my whole hip was just like freaking needles in it. It felt like that for a few days. And I was fine afterwards, and because I didn't have any legal complaint as such, like broken bone or something, they kept asking me, once I get to the customer service stuff, the manager turns up like fidgeting with his pen like he's got other things to do. He didn't even say sorry. I had to say, excuse me, you're just gonna fill up your form, you're not even gonna say sorry. He doesn't make eye contact with me. No eye contact. And then he's just filling his form like he's annoyed, and he kept asking me if I needed first aid. That's the main thing. I don't need the first aid. There's no legal complaint against them. Therefore, they don't give a shit. Let me tell you, I used to go to the Asda nearly every day since they closed the Tesco. And even before they closed the Tesco, I was there all the time. All the time. Customer service, rubbish. But that's not even customer service. That's basic human attention. That is basic attending to somebody's dangerous situation in your store. The man is pretending I don't even exist. He's just writing stuff. He doesn't look at me. Little twat about 25 or 28 doesn't look at me, and he's writing. And I had to ask him to apologize verbally. And look at me shocked and like, oh, he's a bit surprised he has to apologize. The man, I had to ask him to apologize for what just happened in his store. And it wasn't me running around like a cretin. It was their pool of water. And I was so angry, and they made me feel like a freaking piece of rotten fruit. The female assistant there, do you want her to go and rub your thigh, and I mean not rub the thigh, but check the thigh to see if there's any pressure point? I don't know the woman. I don't care if it's a bird. Just because it's a female staff, I'm not gonna go. And she's got the Asda stuff. She's not a doctor. She's got a bit of freaking first aid training. She works in Asda as the cashier or some shit. And then she goes in there and she's gonna feel my hip. She's gonna touch me naked and then see if there's any broken. How do you see if there's any broken hip in there? just by feeling me. I don't know you. So I said, no. Do you need an ambulance? I don't think so. So you expect a bit of compassion. And on the night, I walked to the NHS A&E. I spent about 5 hours waiting for the A&E to see me, and they said it was just a muscle problem. So I'm spending the night in the A&E because of this, and I had to walk back on my horrible leg, and this woman said, oh no, if you sit there, it's going to get worse. So I walked and walked and walked. Alright, but for 3 days I was in pain. Hip and thighs. I was in pain, and the day after that I had the training, the first appointment with the client for fitness. Okay? I had the first appointment with the fitness client after that. It's just fucked up. You know, I don't like swearing like that, but this is so fucked up. You know, they never, I called this head office and they said they would get the branch manager to call me. They sent me a letter there, and they said on the 4th of February 2015, because I wrote to them, and thank you for contacting me, blah blah blah, at the Edmonton store. I have passed your letter to Mohammed Mia, the general store manager. Now I don't know if that's a guy I talked to. I think that was probably some kind of assistant manager, because I think there was another guy who looked more Arabic. I think it might be him, the manager. That's another guy I talked to. But nobody replied to me. I've asked Mohammed that Mohammed contacts you directly regarding this incident. I never to this day didn't have not even a £10 voucher in the post. Because I said to the guy, and I spoke to the manager at the, or assistant manager at the store, I said, I hope you have the decency to send me a letter of apology, because this is outrageous. I hope you can send me some kind of compensation. So I'm thinking, they're going to make an effort, they're going to send me a couple of £100 in vouchers or some shit. No, I'm not, my hip is not broken. They don't have anything to risk legally, so they're not even going to bother. Never a letter of apology from Edmonton. I got a phone call after phone call after phone call. I got a letter, a short letter from customer service in Leeds. You know, and to this day I never had even a letter of apology from these little bastards in Edmonton. And that shop is always packed. They don't care about customer service there. You can't tell me that I slammed myself so hard on the floor because of a pool of water you had there with no sign. And because I can't do anything about it because I don't have a broken hip, you don't care about me. I'm just going there because I'm hungry. I need to buy some food, and this is the first money I had, and I'm just spending it to you, and I've given you money over the years. I'm speaking about 7 years I've been going to that shop day after day, week after week. Freaking Asda, and you know they're part of Walmart now. If they don't have anything to lose in this, why should they try to apologize to some customer who's been doing it for 7 years? They reshuffled the whole store. The front of the store is messed up. The customer service, I mean, literally, once I was looking for like speakers, electrical appliances for my classes, and I went in there. You know, they used to have a section for stuff like that, audiovisual. They don't have it anymore. So I said, who's gonna help me on this, because there's nobody there. So, oh, go to this customer service. Customer service is 2 girls, they're standing there and they're just chatting, and it's like you're disturbing them. You ask for assistance, obviously they don't know, so they call somebody else. That one is on lunch. I'm not even kidding, that was in January. That was in the first week of reopening in January. One is on lunch. Okay, call the other one. He's on lunch. Third one is on lunch as well. They're all on lunch together. All the people who look after this department and assistant managers, they're all on lunch. Call the manager. 20 minutes later, the manager turns up, and it's really because I needed that stuff. I didn't even buy it from Asda in the end. I needed this equipment, so I'm waiting and waiting 20 minutes. The manager turns up 20 minutes. In the meantime, I'm saying to these girls, look, this is ridiculous. I've been waiting here 10-15 minutes. Can you really sort of push it, and can you put a complaint up, because I've been waiting for 20 minutes now. This is inadmissible. Oh, she's got her mate coming to join in on the shift, and they just basically stand in front of me. at the counter in their uniform, one is giving the back to me, and they're both talking about me and about how basically I'm a pain in the ass. I want this, I want this, I want that. Oh yeah, okay, she wants it. This is oh, you know, I'm gonna call. I did try to call this one, but it's not. They're having a little fucking chat about me in my face at the customer service counter, and I'm there like a cretin. I'm waiting. All I want to do is to spend money in that place. They are a bunch of freaks. That thing with the water, I'll never forget it. I could have freaking, if I had a child with me, I could have killed the kid. I'm not being funny. Crash skull. Idiots. And what did I get? Not an apology. I hurt myself quite bad. I'm a freaking human being. You do that to a dog and the SPCA turns up. But you do it to me. Are you not well? I'll never forget it. I'm a loyal customer. So I was. Idiots.